Welcome to the Business of Strength, powered by Varsity House Gym, the podcast for strength entrepreneurs.
What's up, gang? Coach Joe here with my business partner, Dan Goodman.
What's up,
and
guys?
We're bringing you the first episode of the Business of Strength podcast. We're super excited to start this podcast. We've been doing a bunch of live feeds for a couple months now, and we've finally taken the plunge and wanted to put this together into a legitimate podcast that's going to be a monthly podcast. Each month we're going to try to break down an area of business in depth and kind of give you guys some tips and pointers as to how to run a better operation, and have some great fitness entrepreneurs and strength coaches and people within the industry on the podcast as well. So we're really excited to bring you some exciting guests and help you turn your passion into a profit, and really, take a lot of the coaches who started off as small little box gym owners and maybe are thinking about starting to open up the gym, and show them how we progressed from a tiny little garage to a medium-sized gym to a full-blown training facility, and kind of just break down a lot of the missteps and mistakes that we made, and show you some of the things that we've done that have worked really well for us, and just help other strength entrepreneurs out there just do a better job and maybe get from point A to point B a lot faster than we did.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited to be doing this too. We talked about a lot of business coaches talk about you got to help find your niche in the industry.
Find your why.
You got to find your why. Yeah, absolutely.
Why.
And I think Joe and I would be like, what the hell is that? I mean, we're here all day, every day. What is it going to be? And I think that this niche as being strength entrepreneurs and business professionals is something that kind of fell into our lap, because we just noticed, like, hey, what are the majority of the questions that we're getting in our email boxes? What is the majority of stuff we're getting hit up for on our Instagram
And we
pages?
go to a training certification, everybody be asking us business questions. They wouldn't ask us a single question about training.
Right. Which I don't know if that's good or bad. But that's what it was. And we did a couple live streams, and it got thousands of views, and said, man, we might be onto something. We did our last Business of Strength seminar here at Varsity House Gym, and we had 10 people show up for our inaugural Business of Strength seminar. We have another one on August 24th and 25th. And we've got some special things in the works where we're going to be traveling around just sharing our message with people literally worldwide, which is totally humbling. I know for me, it's really special. And, we're going to try, like Joe said, to break down some things that are actually working in a real tangible gym. I think the biggest difference between us and some other strength entrepreneurs, not that they don't know what they're doing, but we're living it on a day-to-day basis, where there's still hundreds of sessions happening on a weekly basis. We just got back from Demrest Field training 45 football players. We snuck in here. We got an hour with you guys to shoot this podcast, so it's very real.
Dan and one of the things I wanted to convey to people is that Dan and I are still working 50, 60 hours a week. We're still in the gym 6 days a week, most weeks. I'm here. We started at 7:30 this morning. I'm not leaving till 8:30 tonight. So it's still a grind. It's still a lot of work, but it's an amazing journey. It's been awesome, and it's running 1,000 times better now than it was, let's say, 3, 4, 5 years ago.
And I think just within the day, and obviously we're going to go over operational freedom. I think our day-to-day processes, we have a goal. We want to be recognized as one of the 10 best gyms in the world. That hangs on our gym wall. But we're able to work on the 5% that helps move our business forward. It's not, we're not doing the same type of busy work on a day-to-day basis that we were doing even 2, 3, 4 years ago, which enabled us to literally double our sales in the length of time that we've done that.
Yeah, so one of the key things for the Business of Strength is teaching other gym owners, coaches, and strength entrepreneurs how to compartmentalize their business life and focus on the things that really matter the most. And a lot of times what I get from other gym owners is, well, how do I know what matters the most? And well, maybe that's kind of where we come in a little bit, where we kind of help you pick certain areas of the business that we believe are critical, that if we had put a little bit more time and focus on 5 years ago, we would have been a lot further ahead. Like there were things that we just, oh, that's not that big of a deal. And then we get to a point where like, shit, that was a big deal.
Definitely.
We should have spent more time on that. So kind of lean on us and ask us questions about, you know, areas that need the most attention. And then look, if you have something, if you have a program, a lot of people put it this way too, like if you have a program that's making you money, or you have a class that's making you money, and then but you're always getting pulled into other directions. Oh, let's do this, let's do this, let's do a kettlebell, let's do a stretch, let's do this. And it's like, yeah, but I got these things that make me a ton of money. People get pulled away and they get distracted. Focus on the stuff that's doing well.
You know, to scale the things that are doing well.
Yeah, and make that bigger. Add more of that instead of going in a different direction. So we'll get into a lot more of that today. We hope you really like it. We wanted to start off our inaugural episode with something we call creating operational freedom, and I'm going to give you 5 areas of your business or 5 things that you can create operational freedom. And we believe that these 5 areas are super simple. They take a little bit of time. They're simple in theory, but they'll take a little bit of time on your, it's mostly just busy work, just doing the work and getting it done. But once you create these 5 simple processes within your gym, you'll have a ton of time and freedom back on your plate. And that's really the key, because so me and Dan travel together, we go away, we're going away in August for a week. You know, we're going out to Jim Jones again to see Bobby and the crew out there, and we're also having some going away for 2 days for ourselves to have a little fun. And that's only possible because we have systems in place here. We have a ton of structure and systems in place, and we got a good group of guys that we've taught the structures, we've taught the systems and structure to, like Trevor and Mike and Adam and the guys that run the gym when we're not here. And that only exists because of the back work that we put in ahead of time to make that happen. So let's move on. Okay, operations are all the little processes that run your gym, and they are everything from cleaning the bathrooms to ordering supplies to hosting a team meeting. And they're how you run your business and all the little processes in between can be categorized into different areas of operation. To keep it super simple, you can categorize things as front end operations or the front of business operations. And those are all the client-facing operations, all the things that might, that's like onboarding members, membership issues, contracts, okay, and all the relative client communication that happens goes in the front of operations, okay? Back-end operations are going to be everything on the back side of the business, the things that most of the employees, I mean, most of the members wouldn't even know is happening, and that's like employee issues, employee conduct, kind of your HR, cleaning services, ordering supplies, opening and closing the gym, and all those little details that go on behind the scenes that your clients have no idea what's happening. But if you don't, you got a really haphazard gym running and you're just running around all day putting out little fires all day long, right? I kind of think of it like there was a Bugs Bunny cartoon where the dam is breaking and he's got his finger in 2 holes and then another one springs and he sticks his foot in it and then another one springs but it's too far away and he can't reach it. And that's what a lot of gym owners feel like, is they're just like nonstop, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Totally
right?
reactive.
So totally reactive. And then you can break down your product. And then the third area of the business is the product. And that's everything revolved around the training itself and what happens with the training. How are you training your clients? What type of classes are you running? What's the dynamic of the class? Do you have class structure? How do you train your trainers on your style of class and or personal training? You know, what is the overall theme of your training at your facility and stuff like that? So we're going to break down 5 processes, right? And there's going to be a mixture of front end, back end, and some operation and some product stuff. So I listed the 5 things that I thought if I could go back and do it all over again, that these things I would have totally done and written out before the gym door ever even opened in the first place, right? Before I even opened up my first garage. And now, another thing on that note, there's a lot of guys probably that saying like, well, this doesn't pertain to me. You guys have a big gym. You got hundreds of clients. You know, you got 20 employees, blah, blah, blah. That's the same thought process that I had when I was by myself. and what a mistake it was, because if I had done this ahead of time, when I had nobody, I would have only had to scale it for one person, and it would have been super simple, but I would have had a process in place that I could then have scaled to 4 when it was me, you, Mike, and Trevor, to 8, right? When it was me, you, Mike, Trevor, Hyde, you know, and now to 20, right? But the process began at point A, and now it continues to grow and grow and grow. But not having it then, it's just like, I was like, oh, I don't need it. That's for big health club. I'm not trying to be a health club. You know, I'm just this box gym, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, you're going to be staring down the barrel of a gun like, man, I got 5 employees. I don't have a pay scale. I have no employee hand. I got nothing. And you're just running around trying to get people on the same page.
And your bandwidth for decision making, it's like, I think a lot of the biggest issues that we had in the beginning was that, especially when we came on board, is that you had been there for 3 years alone, and we're training a full book of clients, and now I'm there, Big Mike's there, Trevor's there, and you know, you're doing sessions all day long, and it's like the development process of us as coaches and strength entrepreneurs, it's like, well, all right, I'm going to do it this way, but if that's not the expectation of how you used to do it, there was a quarrel, you know what I mean?
Of course.
And that was the root of most of the issues in at least the first year before we had, you know, the decision-making process, like, oh man, like, you know, Big Mike set to get a raise, like, what should we give him? And it's like, you know, literally, it's like you're throwing darts at the wall and be like, all right, you know, I think it's this. You know, there was no systemization, and it adds a lot of stress outside of the gym when you're already there for 10, 12 hours a day, and you go home, you're like, man, like, I think this person deserves X, Y, or Z, and it's just totally, you know, it's just a total haphazard process.
Yeah, so creating operational freedom starts with breaking down a couple areas of your business. Now we're going to give you some key areas today, and then you have to look at your business, what fits your model, what fits your training, what fits the employees and stuff you have. I'm going to tell you what we're doing, but you might have to tweak a couple things and go backwards and just kind of make it your own in a sense. But implement these processes now and as quickly as possible, and you guys will absolutely improve your retention, your yearly client value, right? And the overall client experience, which is, in my opinion, the absolute #1 thing in the gym, right? All that matters. Clients don't care about your pay scale. Clients don't care about your onboarding process. Clients don't care about your employee handbook. They only care about themselves and what's going on to them, right? There'll only be maybe a handful of people who actually like dig deeper into your business and like really, you know, hey man, that, you know, you guys are so organized and structured at the front desk. I really blah blah blah. But how many people give a crap about any of that stuff, right? So let's start with the first thing, right? What we feel like is the #1 process for any gym operationally is the onboarding of new clients. And we actually have an awesome done-for-you product called the Ultimate Onboarding Kit. You can go to strengthentrepreneurs.com, our website, and opt in for that and get the download for that.
It's free.
It's free.
Read it.
It's free. Just check it out and read it. We created this awesome packet. But onboarding clients is, you know, like a first date, right? You're trying to make a first impression. You're trying to put your best stuff out there, best foot forward, okay? And so most gyms, at least by what we saw, a lot of the small box gyms like we were, are basically a 1 or 2 man show where you have one coach / owner doing everything, or a coach, owner, and maybe another part-timer doing everything, right? A couple husband and wife cases and stuff that we worked with. And their process for onboarding a new client is generally a free workout and then sign up for our memberships, right? And that's great when you have, you know, maybe 10 or 20 total clients. But when you have 200 and there's no way to see everybody, monitor everybody, and in a sense communicate properly with everyone, you have to create a system that's going to provide them with the best experience possible.
It's really the best first impression.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it needs to be, like, I remember way back, it would be, we would have not much administrative help, but when we did, or with an assistant coach, it'd be like a new client would stroll in the front door and say, oh, let me go get Joe or Dan, or let me go get Trevor, let me go get Big Mike, the guys that know the secret prices. They know how to introduce somebody to what we do, because what we had was so many different pricing structures. We had so many different options. We had different classes all over the place where it was very hard to fit somebody into what we were doing. So our first impression to that person was like, hang on a second, like what the
hell's
hell
going on here?
What are these guys doing? What are they saying? I'm confused.
I just want to work out.
Exactly.
I just want to work out.
And people naturally want to be led. If they're coming into the door and they believe already that you are an expert at what you do, they just want to be told what to do. That's it. And it's got to be simple. Okay, I'm going to the gym. It cost, the ultimate onboard experience at Varsity House Gym costs $299 and includes X, Y, or Z. Boom, I start on July 20th at 10 a.m. Done. And the decision making for them is complete. And so their first impression is that, wow, those people there really have their shit together. And if they have their shit together with that, their underlying, the undertone is like, wow, like they're definitely gonna be able to help me get to and achieve my personal goals.
So you remember, you're trying to create value and experience, right? So most people don't have a problem with money. It's just how they perceive the value in what you're offering. So when you create your onboard, remember, now we go into a lot of detail in the Ultimate Onboarding Kit that you can download for free on strengthentrepreneurs.com. But the key is, right, make it simple, stupid, right? Have 1 or 2 offerings. That's it. We use our Ultimate Onboard as our front end offer, and that's our low barrier offer for people to come in the gym, get a taste of what Varsity House is, right, at a reasonable cost, right, and a reasonable amount of commitment. That gives them the opportunity to sample kind of our best stuff, and then at the end of that 30-day period, right, they either enroll and they become a full-time team member, or they do not, right, and we could wash their hands of us if they want to, right. Basically, what you guys should do is what would I want to be treated like when I went into a gym? If I was going to go train at Varsity House, what would I want? Right. Well, I want an experience. I want to come. I want to train with Big Mike. I want to train with Dan. I want to get some private time. I want to flip some tires and do some cool shit. Right. So we created an onboard that basically guides people through a little bit of everything that Varsity House has to offer. A couple private trainings, a full assessment, a couple private training sessions, a nutrition consult, and some group classes for the first 30 days. And then they enroll to our primary offering, which is our monthly EFT membership, right? So take your onboard process, outline it, create scripts. We created a script for everything. So like not only do we have a process, but we created sales scripts and procedures for the entire process. So when somebody walks through the door, right? Hey, I want to come in and train. Great. Here's how you become a member at Varsity House. You have to sign up for VH University. It's our 30-day new client mentorship program. Great, boom, that's it. There's one thing, there's only one way to get in to train here, and it's through VHU.
As an adult.
As an adult, right? So as a general population client, right? So, and that basically took all the guesswork. Now there's no more, giant menu of choices. Now I narrowed it down. You want to train, here's what it is, okay? You got to go through VHU. They get all this value. They get a ton of cool stuff with it. You get lots of training. You get nutrition consult. You get food logs. You get a month of classes and stuff like that. And at the end of and it only costs $300. At the end of the month, we enroll you to our primary offering, our yearly membership, right? This has greatly changed the perception of the gym right from day one, where now there's no guessing as to what you're getting, how much value it has, and the experience that we're offering to those clients.
And
we know
is extremely high.
Right. We know that and it's giving us the time to build a rapport with that client. I have a new guy that started last week. He's coming in. Matt's coming in tomorrow night. We're doing our first private session tomorrow night. He's a great young guy, loves to train, has done some triathlon stuff. We're going to talk it up. We're going to train our butts off, but I'm going to have time to build a connection with him. I already met his girlfriend. I know some of his family. It's going to, and that one-on-one time is allowing us to create a real rapport, a real relationship that almost guarantees that he's going to view us in a higher regard, and is less likely to leave. The retention has gone through the roof since VHU, and also our conversions. The conversions from leads to VHU to full-time members has been tremendous. We've only lost less than a handful. I don't think it's been 5. Of a few, I think only 3 people have not completed the VHU and signed up to become members. So
another thing too, guys, is that it weeds through the people that are not serious about what you do and they don't value what you do. There's plenty of people, and we used to run hey, here's a 3-day pass to our gym, here's a free class, here's a free bring a friend. And I'm not saying those things are necessarily bad to have intermittently throughout the year, but if that's your primary front end offer throughout the year, it's just people are gonna not value you a certain type of way. And it's also like, hey, you know what, like if it's $299, like you're gonna get somebody that regardless of their fitness capabilities, like
it's still putting some skin in.
They're generally like they're gonna make an investment time-wise to be like, you know what, like I spent $299, like I'm definitely getting my money's worth. If it works, then great. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. But it should be an educational period where, you know, for that 1 month, these people are getting a ton of high value.
Well, if you look at like Matt, who just started, I mean, he's a young guy. He's 24 years old, just graduated with his master's degree. He's taking a year off before he goes to med school. Like $300 is a decent amount of money for that kid, for a young guy like that. But he wanted to make a commitment to train at a real gym. And if you're a real training facility and you're discounting memberships and running special sales all the time and stuff like that, you kind of get known as the, I don't know, like the used car salesman of gyms.
And just like the wait and see. Oh, they always run
specials. They always run sales. So don't join now. You'll get something later, right? And like I always use the doctor's analogy, right? In the gym business, you know, we're like salesmen, but you know, when you go to your doctor, does your doctor ever say like, "Hey, I'll give you 20% off your knee replacement"? Like it just, you know, like it doesn't exist. So quit devaluing yourself and just create an awesome front end offer that has a ton of value and experience involved in it at a price that you can live with.
Right. And you need to sell it as if you know in your head that this person really needs this. Because they do. I feel like people only have seller's remorse if what they are selling, well, that's not, if what you're selling is shit, you're gonna always have seller's remorse. There's some people that I think are young in the fitness industry, just need to understand their true value, so that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But if what you are selling is really good, then you should always be transparent upfront from the start and be like super excited for that person because you know how much value they're getting, and the way in which you convey your message is going to be that of like, wow, like this is awesome, you need it.
So create a system for onboarding new clients, set a price that's reasonable, that has a lot of value. For you, again, we've talked about this once or twice before already, but maybe it's one assessment, one private training session, 2 weeks of classes, whatever. A done-for-you nutrition pamphlet with food logs. We have a nutritionist on staff, so our program is very in-depth. It's $300. Maybe yours is one private and one assessment and 2 weeks of classes, and it's $150. Whatever fits your facility and your ability. Remember, if you can't give every new client 3 private training sessions like we do, then don't. You know what I mean? Just give them one. You know, do whatever the best you can and make that happen. Okay, so that's number one. Create an onboarding system that has a lot of value, that has a great experience, and that's a reasonable price. And we use that as our front end offer. That's our front end offer for getting new clients into the gym and giving them a ton of value and making them say, wow, I'm going to get all that for $300.
It's the
no-brainer.
wow factor on the initial first impression.
And super professional, and always, obviously, you know, you got to execute the shit out of it, right? You got to train your staff. You got to train if you have front desk help, you got to train them and how to sell it and what they're supposed to say. And if you have other coaches putting clients through their on-ramp, well, then it's outlining the sessions. How are they coaching them? Maybe making sure that you have a common assessment that you're all using. So there's continuity within the program. Okay. Number 2, develop an employee handbook. Now, this is going to sound super corporate, and I hated the idea of this. Trust me, I hated it. When I went and worked at some big health clubs back in the day, before I opened up my own place, the one thing I hated about it was that bullshit red tape structure that everything had to have. Well, you know, in page 8 of our employee handbook says, you know, chewing bubble gum on the floor. Well, you know. And believe me, I know what you're saying. There's a lot of hardcore gym owners out there saying, like, fucking employee handbook, you gotta be kidding me. Like, that's exactly what I don't want. Trust me, you're saving yourself a shit ton of headaches down the road by laying out your basic expectations up front. You're at some point, if you want to grow and scale your business to where it's a real business making you money when you're not there all the time, right? And you have multiple trainers, multiple revenue streams, you got to have everybody on the same page. So how do I make sure that Trevor can talk to, when we hire a new front desk staff and Trevor goes down to speak to that front desk staff and do their onboarding process, right? How do I make sure that from Trevor to the new person to every single person in the gym, that they understand the core values, they understand the gym hierarchy and who's in what role, who do they go to if they have an operational issue, who do they go to if there's a problem, blah, blah, blah.
They just have a sick day.
Have a sick day. What happens if they have, exactly, what happens if they have a sick day or they need to cancel a session or whatever it is? All those things go in our employee handbook. The employee handbook should have your core values, right? Your ethos, whatever that might be. Your mission statements, right? Those are the things that you want to convey at every team meeting and every chance you have. Your code of conduct. What is acceptable code of conduct within your business? These are all things you can pull, you can download, you can go and download employee handbook for gyms on Google, and I'm sure you'll find a couple that are already done, right? Or at least basic done. Basic employment information, right? Hours, benefits, time off, how to schedule time off, how to take a sick day. If you're a full-time employee like we do, we give paid sick days. How do they register those sick days? How do they take paid time off? How do they keep track of it? All those little things go in the employee handbook. Your rules and regulations, right? And could be clothing. Maybe you're a real miser for making sure that you're wearing your gym shirt, right? And you give all your employees gym shirts, and then one of your things is you must wear your, you know, Varsity House t-shirt. Well, all right, we'll put that in the thing. So lay out the expectations, even if you back off some of them a little bit, but they're there for you to fall back on. It's always better to be over-prepared than under-prepared. Absolutely. You could always scale back, but when you've created a culture of laxity, it's hard to scale up. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So you could always let go of the reins a little bit, right? Like they say, like it's easier to climb down the ladder than it is to climb up, right? You could always let go of the reins a little bit, and if you feel like you're too structured, like if you're yelling at people all the time for, you know, picking up garbage or wearing their shirts and things like that, you could always let go a little bit, right? But if you've created a culture where like people just roll in their ripped up t-shirts and that's what your coaches wear, and there's like, you know, people are on their phones and they're chewing gum and stuff like that, real hard to change it all of a sudden midstream.
Look, a lot of that stuff falls upon leadership. Like if, you know, Joe and I came in like tattered clothing every day or late or looked like we had been out all night, then like it's hard to tell other people to do other things if that's what you are consistently doing. However, you know, like we talk about structure, if there is a day where you're not here or there is a day or week that we're both not here, it's just very easy for the expectation where a new employee should, you know, when you're hiring a new employee, you should take an hour and go through the full employee handbook so it's at least mentioned. They have a copy of it so that they can refer back to it. Obviously, you don't want to be hiring people that you feel like you're going to have those issues with in the first place, but you'd be surprised when you talk about people getting lax over a certain amount of time.
It's just crossing your T's and dotting your I's. We make every new employee read and sign the employee handbook. It goes in their file, the acknowledgement that they've read and signed it. It has all the reasons for, you know, unfortunately, this is, you know, we live in a real world where we have to make real decisions, and once in a blue moon, you got to let people go, and you got to be able to say, like, look, you know, you did not live up to the core values, you did not live up to the expectations that we set forth for you in our first meeting when we went over our employee handbook, and your conduct, your conduct has been terrible. You're arguing with clients or whatever it might be. Your dress code, you've been warned multiple multiple times about your dress code and so forth, right? And that's really what the handbook is designed to do, is to take all, it's in a sense, for you small gym owners, this is your HR personnel.
It is.
Right? So you can write a really good employee handbook that kind of, in a sense, acts as your HR person and outlines all the HR issues that you might have.
Also, too, like it's just good to refresh it for yourself. And I think for a small business owner, you're like, oh my God, like we're talking about so many things. Like, all right, I still have to do this onboarding experience. Okay, I need to do that. And then it's number two, I don't even have a handbook. Guys, the handbook doesn't need to be 20 pages long. It could literally be your mission statement, which should be up in your gym already, what you're trying to accomplish. Number two could be a code of conduct, 3 things that would that your gym is holding their employees accountable for, and it could be just a basic pay scale, and it could be those 3 things, 3 pages, and that's it. Like the most primary things that all employees need to know, and something that you could fall back upon in case you do have an issue. This is just like this is the lifeline of the business, where it's like, just in case, we can refer back to it.
Communication is the key.
Yeah, if you have nothing to refer back unto, then that's where discrepancies, that's where arguments come into place, that's where lawsuits can spring about.
Right.
You need to protect yourself. It's the same reason why people get insurance. You hope for the best and that nothing's going to happen, but think about an employee handbook as insurance for your business.
That's why they always say, like, if you're gonna negotiate a lease for a space, so you should have a lawyer in there. You gotta have your paperwork in order all the time, right?
No doubt.
So the employee handbook is critical for that. Our base employee handbook is only 13 pages. The full employee handbook with all of our operational procedures in it is like 50-something pages. But you could start off with something real basic that's basically, like I said, core values, gym hierarchy, basic employment information, hours, scheduling, things like that, rules and regulations, some basic procedures if you want to include like a procedure. Maybe it's turning on and off the air conditioning, opening the gym and what needs to happen when whoever opens the gym, maybe your morning crew, they have a procedure for opening the gym and getting the gym up and running in the morning, closing the gym, stuff like that, and some pay scale and compensation stuff if you have that stuff ready to go. Okay. Number 3, okay, write out sales scripts and sales procedures for your employees and review them and coach them and go through them. So like what happens in most small gyms is the owner / head coach is also the best salesman, right? Because it's yours, you love it. Who's gonna talk better about a product and a gym than the person who owns it, lives it, loves it, and breathes it? But again, in order to scale, to go to another level, right, to be able to leave the gym for a week in August, right, I have to have other people here that can sell. I got to have other people who understand the procedures of what products we're offering, how to sell them, and when you do sell them, what happens to that client now. So if a client signs up for Varsity House University, our onboarding process, on August 19th when me and you were away, did they just not join the gym? You know what I mean? Did they just not come? Wait till Dan and Joe get back? Wait till next week? Like that doesn't, that can't happen. So it's like, what happens when you leave the gym? Does everything just shut down? You have to have sales scripts. So we've created sales scripts for all of our different products. We have an awesome thing here called the Ultimate Gym Tour. This is probably the one I'll use as the example. And the Ultimate Gym Tour is exactly that. It is selling the gym to a new or potential client that walks through the door or calls on the phone. How do I get that person into the gym so I can show them the gym, so I can lock them into one of our services? Primarily our core offering or our front end offer, which is VH University, right? Sometimes throughout the year we might have something else going on, like our 6-week transformation that we're trying to convert people to. The sales scripts are designed to be an exact layout of everything that happens, right? Have a welcome packet ready, okay? Have your low barrier offer, right? Tell your compelling story. Here's the story. I wrote out the story. We are the story of Varsity House. Over a decade ago, we started at a 2-car garage, blah, 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 right? Give your guided tour. Have your sales pitch ready to go. So selling is not something that's intuitive to everybody, right? And I'm not expecting every single person in here to be as good at selling Varsity House as maybe me or Dan, However, they should be able to know the key points. They should be able to tell our compelling story. They should know the products inside and out, which products we're offering and which products fit the client that we're trying to sell to, right? And when and how those products are running and get set up, right? So if somebody signs up for VHU and says, oh, maybe somebody comes in and they meet with Adam, and Adam does a great job selling the gym and telling our story, and they, yep, sign me up. Okay, what now? Now the procedure starts, right? Now we get them locked into the schedule. Now they sign up for their private training. They schedule their 30-minute nutrition consult with Simone. So there's still a lot of procedural stuff that has to happen after the sale. Coach your client, coach your coaches and your staff members through the sales process, right? So it could be, what we like to do is I'll go down probably once a quarter and I'll run everybody through the Ultimate Gym Tour, and we'll literally role play, you know, some different sales scenarios. Okay, a woman comes in who's, you know, hasn't been in the gym in 15 years. She's overweight. She's a little self-conscious. She's feeling a little nervous about coming back and joining a gym like ours. Blah blah blah. You know, what are the products? What are we saying to her to make her feel more comfortable and make her realize that we have the solution for her fitness needs? And what products are we trying to offer to her? As opposed to, I don't know, somebody like Dan walks through the door, hey man, I was an ex-football player, I'm still crushing weights, want to get in a little bit better shape, lean up, you know, and you know, getting ready for a bikini competition, right? and it's great. And what am I selling Dan? Now I got to sell, maybe I'm talking different to Dan. Does it make sense that I would have a different sales script for Dan than I would for a 50-year-old mom who hasn't been in the gym in 20 years, right? He probably doesn't want to hear so much about, you know, I don't know, fat loss and calories. He wants to hear about crushing bench press and all the athletes that we have here and all the football players that have trained here and stuff like that. So his mindset might be looking for something a lot more hardcore than what her mindset is. And it's just a spin on things, right? Because once she gets here and she starts training, she's going to feel great and she's going to, you know, get comfortable. And
I think also within the script too is that we've helped people gravitate towards certain things and hang on to certain things depending on the type of person that you're asking. A lot of questions, you're identifying their needs, and you're letting them do more of the talking than you. And it's like, if you had a guy like Joe come in, it's okay guys, like if this is part of our sales procedure, let's walk them over to the blacktop, let's point out, you know, the Elite FTS racks, you know, our full fleet of dumbbells, 5 to 150s, and walk them down that side of the gym. We have an adult that comes in that talks about, yeah, they've done spin class, they've done some of this, they really liked machines. We walk them down towards the adult side of the gym. We show them our ski ergs, we show them our rowers. We talk about the importance of our version of bikes, which is the Airdynes. And you know, we make it easy for the salesperson, you know, by letting the client do the identification of what they need and what they want. That's really important. Yesterday, just an actual real example is our newest admin, or one of our newest admins, is JC Sabino, who's also doing our internship program to become a sports performance coach here. JC's here on Sundays. Joe and I are both not here on Sundays. Big Mike is here with Simone, and he's up front. And 2 new female athletes came in during the open enrollment period, whereas literally as recently as 3 or 4 years ago, those athletes we would have taken their information, and then today, instead of doing this podcast, Joe or I would be calling and identifying everything that they need, where they need to be training, what they're going to be paying. And yesterday, when I get an alert on my email, I checked my email once yesterday, 2 sales were made by JC because he had the system in place to answer the questions that I'm sure he had. He had the prorated prices. He had the documentation of exactly what groups those females were going to go into, and the sale was made because he had the information to answer the questions that those potential clients may have had so that he could answer them. And he had a crutch to rely on. He didn't need to be like, hey, it was really nice to meet you. Let me take down your name and number and I'll have somebody get back to you tomorrow, which it's just further proof of real life proof that somebody that's been here working at the desk for less than 10 weeks can make a sale, which by and large, it's not hard, but it's in the middle of a block. We're outside of open enrollment. He did an excellent job because he was given the tools. Yeah. And the leadership is in place for him to be successful.
So you have to look at your client timeline. And when you create a sales script, it's like, all right, what am I selling them and when, right? So if it's VHU, right, your onboarding process or whatever you call it, right? Let's just call it your onboarding process. What am I saying to them? How am I getting them into the gym? And what are the key things? What are the key ideas that you want to convey? Right? You got to let them. You got to make them aware of the value and experience that they're getting. Right? And then you have to coach that up to your staff. So if you have other staff members that are working for you, you go over it and over it and over it a couple times until they start to develop their own kind of flair and ability to sell it themselves. Right? The sales script is a template. It's not written in stone. It's a starting point for us to review as a group, to drill as a group. So when I go downstairs and I give the ultimate gym tour with everybody, that's how I would sell it. Maybe Lexi's story is a little bit different. Susan and Leslie, who were clients at the gym, maybe their story is a little bit different because they can use their own personal experience.
But they're hitting upon some core things that they must hit upon.
Correct. And those are, the value that the client's getting, the structure of our training sessions, the prices and the transparency of what we're actually offering and what it's going to be from them, and some key components. And then there's little ad lib kind of areas that we drill upon where it's like, okay, great. What if you get this? What if she gives you a roadblock based on cost? What if you get a roadblock based on time? What if you get a roadblock based on, well, I'm really fit. Do I still need to do VHU? We get that one a lot. Well, I'll just tell everybody straight up, you're not as fit as you think you are. Okay? But most people think, oh, well, I do 10 spin classes a week. I could do this, no problem. Yeah, all right. Okay, we've had multiple people, but what do you do when you get these roadblocks and then just kind of drill them with your crew and go through them and work through them? So maybe in your head you have a solution to all of them, but if you don't tell anybody else, you know what I mean, then it doesn't exist.
Honestly, by most accounts, I feel like when we're selling our own gym, I always felt like that was a strength. And from the very beginning.
Me too.
It wasn't until we went to Pat Rigsby's workshop in Louisville, which was awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
And it was all about sales. I was like, oh man, we're going to be awesome. We're going to be the studs in this class. And
we were like,
he put us in certain scenarios with certain roadblocks where I really hadn't practiced and worked that, let's call it sales muscle, where I was always selling to people that were similar to me because our primary offering at that point was
football,
wrestling, track and field, that's it. It wasn't until we got out of our comfort zone and really started selling a lot of adults, our business just got more dynamic, and he sat us in a room and put us on what is our hot seat today with Business of Strength and was drilling us with questions to the point where I'm not usually at a loss for words. I couldn't get a word out.
Yeah.
I was done. So it seems ridiculous to practice these scenarios, and we don't practice them every week.
No.
But every other month, every quarter,
we usually do sales review once a quarter. You know,
spend 2 hours just role, like literally, it seems ridiculous, role playing. You have one admin, put them in 2 awkward, weird scenarios, because I guarantee you, if you're in this business for long enough, which you will be if you follow these 5 steps.
You'll be so much better off, though.
You'll be so much better off. You'll be so much better off in that, like, it's like being in any scenario. If you practice, a 2,000-meter row, and you practice and practice and practice, well, then when you're required to compete with one, you're going to get it.
Well, look at Big Mike, though. Look when Big Mike started. Big Mike could not sell anything, right? And now his favorite saying is, I could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves, I think. I think that's Big Mike's favorite saying. I can sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. I was like, what?
No, he loves saying that. And
so
he's
become a great salesman, and it's his own style. He's not selling it like Joe. He's not selling it like Dan. He's selling it like Mike. Mike. He's very serious. So it's the truth about the gym. Why we're the best at what we're doing, and he's developed a way of communicating what Varsity House is based on the sales scripts and templates that we've helped put together, and then taking it on his own and gone out from there. So super simple. Could be very simple, guys. Don't make it out to be something super complex, but create a sales script, drill it home to your employees, right? Review it quarterly. Pick an area of the gym that you're selling. So maybe the first thing is your on-ramp, because you're going to go home and create a new on-ramp and get that rolling. But then maybe it's your, like for us, it's our athlete programming. It's the 6-week transformation. We have other products. It's Snap Nutrition. How are we selling Snap Nutrition? So we create a small script for each one of those products, and then each quarter we drill it home a little bit, make sure everybody's up to page. Or when we have a new client, a new employee onboarding, we drill it. I do this. So I'll stand there with them. I'll have several meetings with that new employee, and we'll go through each sales script. They got to review them. They'll practice. They'll tell it back to me, and so forth. And we make it a built-in process that absolutely helps the employee feel more comfortable selling your products better, right? And eventually, they're gonna get great at it, and
yeah, it's just second nature. I mean, when you're coming back to the sales scripting and sales procedures, you really it has to co-align with your mission statement. I mean, we talk about creating a mission statement for your handbook, employee handbook. Your mission statement, your ethos, it should be present somewhere in your gym that everybody can see, and just reiterate back to that. Focus back on that. And that's what your sales script should entail. It should just be, it should reinforce the mission statement. Don't get crazy. It doesn't need to feel like it's being, it shouldn't be read off of a sheet. No. And remember, it's always about the client. At the end of the day, it's about their value and their experience. You can't just sit there for 20 minutes talking about how great you are. You got to get to the point quick within the first minute, and then allow them to kind of drive the process of telling you what they need and what they want from their fitness life cycle, and then you just place them into the right products. Okay, number 4. And this is one that really surprised me in the last year with all the gyms that we've done consulting with and all the strength entrepreneurs that we've talked to, how many of them are not holding team meetings. Now, number 4 is you must host weekly team meetings. How the hell are you supposed to keep everybody corralled on the same page? But what, sending them text on a weekly basis? You got to get together. Now, I'm gonna be the first to admit, there's some weeks where our team meeting is us sitting around for an hour bullshitting, right? And there's some weeks where our team meeting is literally bullet after bullet of stuff that's got to get done, and we're just hammering stuff out, right? We try to run a 5-star team meeting every week, and that's numbers. Give me the nuts and bolts of the business snapshot. We run through each area of the business. All right, what's happening at the front desk? What's happening on the training floor, Big Mike? What's happening with with the cleaning schedule, Sean? What's happening with the adult programming, Sean? Blah blah blah. And we go down the list, and we go around the room, and then we hit the key areas. All right, guys. So this week we have this coming in, blah blah blah. We got, like last week we had our good friend Jane here. All right, we got a workshop this weekend. I need this, and this, and we game plan, and we get everybody on the same page. And it also gives us a little bit of an opportunity to get together. Maybe somebody did something great in the gym. Hey, I just want to give a shout out to Big Mike for doing such a great job with so-and-so with her knee rehab or whatever it might be, and you give Mike a shout out. Or maybe like this past week, the girls made their sales mark for the quarter for the front desk, right? The front desk had groundbreaking sales for the last quarter, right? Everybody got a nice gift card. So it's like, hey, giving the girls a nice round of applause and a shout out during the team meeting, giving Trevor and Adam a shout out for making that operationally happen, right? And making sure that the girls stayed on mark all 3 months, right? So things like that
happen in the team meeting. It's an opportunity to get together. It's an opportunity to have some fun and you know and get some FaceTime with everybody. Maybe you have employees that come in at 6 a.m. like Joey, who we don't see too much. But the team meeting gives us an opportunity to kind of you know meet with him and get on the same page.
Just when we've spoken to other strength entrepreneurs, and we always ask them like, what do you think is the number one thing for moving your business forward, and like, what's the one thing that all businesses need to take the next step? And a lot of times people will give you the answers like, oh, well, communication's huge. Like communicating with my coaches, I need to spend more time in coaching development meetings and things like that. Well, like if you're not communicating on a weekly basis at a structured time, then it's never going to happen, because you're going to get so damn busy and you're going to be like, hey man, can I get you for 2 minutes on, like when that employee wants to go home and the last thing they want to do is talk about how Jane is coming for Project Row and you need them to send an email to these 10 people reminding them. It needs to be done. It also gives people peace of mind where it's like, hey, every Wednesday as a whole staff at 2 o'clock, we meet, and that's it, and it's just part of the schedule. It doesn't undulate,
and it's
it doesn't
been that
rotate.
For going on 5 years.
It's just Wednesday at 2 o'clock. That's it. Doesn't matter if he's not here, I'm not here, Trevor's not here. It doesn't matter. It happens every week, 52 weeks a year, and it gives everybody a voice. So everybody knows if they have an issue in the gym that pertains to everybody, they're going to get the floor to discuss with the whole team, you know, on that issue.
Yeah, and like if you're a small place and maybe you only have 1 or 2 employees, right? You just got a small place. Well, spend a half hour on processes and procedures and what has to go on in the gym, and spend a half hour doing some coaching education or doing some sales scripting or something like that.
I think even if it's,
you know?
even if you're alone, I think having a set time every week, because you need outsider influence. So maybe every Wednesday it's, you know, you have it could be a friend, it could be
coffee with a coach or something like that. Yeah.
Just every Wednesday, I'm going to go and communicate with some person in my workspace. It could be your accountant, it could be a lawyer, it could be a coach, it could be a friend, it could be an old friend, it could be
on another podcast. We'll talk about the advisory board and putting an advisory board together.
But somebody, you got to communicate. And
the team hosting a team meeting is absolutely critical. Communication. You'll trust me when I tell you that once you get past 5 employees, communication is the number one thing. And it's either the number one thing that's going to drive your business forward, or it's the number one thing that's going to crush your business and ruin it, right? Because it's just like a marriage, right? What's the number one reason people get divorced is we stopped communicating. We didn't love each other anymore. Why? Because we didn't talk to each other. We stopped communicating, right? You have to communicate every day with your employees. You have to remind them of what's happening in the gym, what your expectations are, and why we're the best at it, and why we're going to continue to be the best and move forward. You have to rah-rah speech your crew, just like a football team, every single week. You got to give everybody the pump up, right? Because we're all here working 50, 60 hours a week. You got to give them the good pump up every week. So start holding team meetings, even if there's 2 of you, even if it's your husband and wife team. Half-hour team meeting going over the business, half-hour team meeting going over sales script, procedures, training, whatever it might be, and just make it happen. Lock it into a process that's consistent week after week. All right. Our last process for creating operational freedom, and this should be intuitive to a lot of you. But again, over the last year, working with a lot of strength entrepreneurs, I was really surprised to see how few people had this really dialed into a really lockdown process, and that was creating creating training templates for all of your group classes, your private training, and your onboard. And like if you have an assessment session or a couple of private sessions that you do as part of an onboard, those sessions should be kind of laid out in a scripted format with progressions and regressions depending on the level of athlete and what you saw in their assessment and so forth. I was very surprised to see how many coaches are still running WOD-like classes that they're making up that morning, right? And all I'm saying is that's just one more thing to have to do every day.
Right.
Wouldn't it be nice to not have to worry about what you're doing in your group classes for the next 30 days? right? And if you spent one Sunday coming up with a monthly template for your classes that you could just let it run for the next month and come up, and you're probably going to come up with some cooler, fresher, more innovative stuff, because that's what you're working on. So if I sit for 2 hours on a Sunday and really put some time into putting some cool templates together for the classes that we run here, they're probably going to be a lot better than if I just come running in at, classes at 8 and I come running in at 7:45 and I just throw a workout on the board, because now you're always going to kind of revert back to your path of least resistance and give it, it's going to be this, and this bench press, curls, right? So creating templates for all of your groups, your private training, like for us, we have a big binder downstairs, and it's all of our athletes, right? So it's Old Japan football, Northern Valley football, right? College prep females, college prep males, right? High school males, junior girls, whatever, and they're all run off of 4 to 10 week blocks of set templates, 2, 3, 4 day a week templates that are going to give us a basic template to follow. And then again, for the individual athletes, we have progressions and regressions based on each athlete's own ability and what they're doing. For our adult classes, it's even easier, right? We program everything out for the month, and we come up with some cool, innovative themes and stuff for the month, and we try to make the classes a ton of fun and exciting, and we change them up every single month. And if there's a problem with something, or again, if there's somebody with an injury or something like that, there's tons of progressions and regressions. However, we have a template that goes out the first of the month. The whole month's template gets done. We have a big giant board down on the floor that gets written out, so the workout templates get put on the board, and it makes our lives so much easier that we have this lockdown process for our product, so that the product training is super consistent and always awesome and always innovating and always fun. So the client's perspective is that, wow, these guys, the workouts are always different. We're always doing tons of cool stuff. This month we're working on our 1,000-meter row. Last month we worked up to a PR in the bench press, right? And it's always changing. It's always variable, and we do that as a group, right? And then Coach Mike and Coach Sean design all the templates in detail. So we'll meet as a group with our advisory board. Me and Dan will have some of our input as to what we think we'd like to see going on with the training. Mike and Sean do the detailed plan that gets sent out to the entire gym, right? All the employees, and then the workouts get put up on our big board for the month, and we just crush it. And that way, no matter what, if it's Barbell University Thursday and Joey's coaching the 4:30, or I'm coaching the 4:30, or Simone's coaching the 4:30, the template's the same, the workout's the same. We each add our own little flair to it, right, and add our own little variations to things. But the clients are getting a very consistent product that they absolutely love, and I know that you can say the same for me. I know a lot of people are like, well, it kind of ruins the spontaneity and this, that, and the other. I mean, would you ever take an athlete, if Eli Manning walked into the gym and said, hey man, I want to train for the summer, you're just gonna throw him a workout every day and beat him up? No, you're gonna put a detailed plan together. You're gonna get from point A to point B. Why would you do anything different with your adult clientele? Have some type of structure, progress towards goals, right? Real training, right? And create awesome templates for all of your different athlete structures and so forth. For our onboard process, we've templated those sessions. I want those sessions to be memorable. I want them to include certain things. I want them to be a snapshot of what training here at Varsity House is. So we've scripted those first 3 private training sessions that clients will do with VHU. And then, again, you can go off script. Like the kid Matt that I'm training tomorrow is very aerobically fit, right? I can go off script a little bit and give him some harder stuff to do with the aerobic side of things. Right. But I want him to get a few of the things that we're gonna box squat. We're gonna do some stuff with chains. We're gonna do some other things in here that are proprietary to what we do at Varsity House.
We talk about busy work though. Imagine coming in and knowing that you have him today. So instead of you having to script out his 3 sessions this week, those 3 sessions are done. We have a base model for you to follow, and now you could say, oh yeah, this is good, we're gonna box squat, yep, we're gonna do our single arm row, yep, we're gonna do our weighted sit-ups, and to finish out, instead of doing 10 laps on the stairs with 2 chains, we're gonna go over and do something that I know is in his wheelhouse, and we're going to do intervals on the rower, we're going to do intervals on, we're going to do some meathead metabolics with our Slider X program on the Prowler. It doesn't matter, but it's giving you, it allows you to be decisive, and you're not spending 30 minutes, you're spending 3 minutes to allow you the other 27 minutes to do things like this to help move our business forward.
And that allows you to focus on that client's experience, not worried about the X's and O's of coaching and what you're supposed to be doing with that person.
Exactly.
So I just want to go back, and we're going to do a quick time review here, okay? Because remember, at the end of the day, creating operational freedom is about creating time, right? It's about taking all the little crap, taking a big pile of little things, right, and putting them into one area and categorizing them and making them simple and taking them off your plate, so that you can maybe at some point hire a front desk person that says, hey, this pile of all the little stuff is your stuff now, right? And I no longer have to worry about this. And that all of a sudden, that's 10 hours back a week in your plate. Imagine if you had 10 dedicated hours a week to write sales copy for your emails, to write cool Facebook, Instagram content, to write awesome training programs and things like that, right? 10 hours is a lot of time. So let's take a look at these real quick, and we'll just go down the line, right? Creating an onboard, right? What's that going to do for you? That's going to guarantee that your client gets a consistent, awesome experience from start to finish. It's also going to take tons of guesswork out of what should I sell to clients, where do they fit in, blah, blah, blah. I create a product that's my go-to product. It has a ton of value. It has an awesome experience. And now there's a set process for onboarding clients. Number one thing it's going to do is it's going to give them an awesome experience and the time to get to know you, your coaches, your facility, and improve retention greatly. That's what I do know. So you could say that, yeah, but it's going to take me hours to create this onboard process, then I got to teach it to everybody, and then this, that, and the other. Well, if you're bringing in new clients to free classes and they sign up for a membership and then they leave 2 months later, what's more important? The 10 hours of time that it might take you to create this process, the another 10 hours to teach it to your staff? So you put 20 hours of investment into it to get hundreds of hours back on the back end.
Absolutely.
Imagine being able to lock down a client that had such an amazing experience through your on-ramp that they're a lockdown client for the next 3 years, and then you never hear a peep from them except how awesome your gym is, right? That's putting time back on your plate, okay? Creating a handbook. Instead of going around from employee to employee, hey, you didn't do this. Hey, you're supposed to do that. Hey, you didn't do this. Hey, we need to do this. Hey, oh, when you open the gym, don't forget to do this. Well, now I can just outline it all in one handbook, create a system, again, that gets everybody on the same page, so you can create more time for yourself to not have to go around putting out all those little tiny fires, and make sure that the expectations for employment at your gym are set in stone. Right from the get.
That means written down.
Written down. No.
It needs to be written.
It's got to be written down. You make them sign the handbook, right? I have read and acknowledged everything that you expect from me as an employee of your gym. Okay? Writing out sales scripts and procedures, I'm telling you, is one of the things that saved us the most time. Teaching other people how to sell not only made us, I mean, I'm going out on a limb here, over the last 3 years, since we hired Susan 5 years ago, it's definitely made us over $1 million.
Definitely.
Other people selling the gym has made us over $1 million, no question.
Who doesn't want, I mean, truly, who doesn't want on their point of sale system, and I hope everybody's got a point of sale system, that's been huge for us, but who doesn't want to see sales in their email box on a daily basis on their day off?
Yeah.
Or say you go home at 6 o'clock and gym's open till 9, that there was 3 or 4 sales made from 6 to 9 o'clock. You don't want to be the gatekeeper for every single sale that ever happens at your gym, because if that's the case, that's going to be the only thing that you're going to be able to do.
Right.
You know, those experiences, they take a lot out of you. I mean,
and that's why we're talking about putting time back in your plate. I mean, teach other people to do it, right? Imagine, like, so let's just rewind a little bit. When Joe was by himself, right, I did all the training programming and wrote all the training programs. I did all the selling. I did all the books. I did all the finances. I did the scheduling. I did everything, right? And you just get inundated. Now, Big Mike does most of the programming, right? The girls do most of the selling, right? And everything still runs fine. I think the problem in the gym business is that the mindset is nobody's going to do it as good as me, but it's not true, right? It's not true at all. The girls are doing a lot of the stuff at the front desk way better than I ever would, because that's what they do every day.
They spend
time doing it. So if you're that, and I'm going to call it, operationally greedy, right? Where you just feel like you have to take all the processes because nobody's going to do them as good as you. You're never going to. Not only are you stifling your employees, but you're also just driving yourself crazy, right? You're stifling your employees because you never allow them the opportunity to grow as an employee. And let me tell you, there's no better light bulb that goes off in that front desk girl or your coach's head when he makes the sale himself, right? And you're not standing there kind of preempting him the whole time. When Big Mike made his first real sale, right, it was like a light bulb went off. Oh, I can do this. That was pretty easy. That wasn't that bad. And I did it my way, and it didn't feel awkward or weird. It didn't feel like, I didn't feel I did it in a way that I wouldn't want to, right? And all of a sudden, boom, now he can sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves.
And they've all done a great job. Adam does a great job too. For the first 6 weeks of his internship, I don't think he said one word.
No.
And now he's one of our best closers with the VHU processes.
No doubt. So just to finish this up, right? So holding weekly team meetings. You want to talk about putting time back in your pocket? Spend 1 hour with everybody, or spend hours trying to catch up with everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, so all of a sudden you're like, oh, hey, Trev, did you send that email out to this person? Mike, did you do that? You know what I mean? And you're all over the place. Instead of just get together once a week and be like, Mike, you need to do this. Trevor, you need to do this. Adam, you need to do this. Dan, where are we on this? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, boom, 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 done? Okay, great, next. Right? So the team meetings have put, I'm going to go out on a limb and say at least 10, 12 hours of time back on our plates. And then last but not least, creating the awesome templates for training. Most of the guys that I know, we know a lot of great coaches who start off with the idea of, I'm going to be this amazing strength and conditioning coach. I'm going to write the best programs in the world. And then, programming's here. This is just like me. Business is here, right? And then over time, it starts to creep, it starts to creep, it starts to creep. And then you get to here, right? And it's like, shit, I got to make a decision. I could spend 4 hours on a Sunday writing templates, right? Or writing workouts. Or I could spend 4 hours writing sales copy, emails, and this, that, and the other. And the next thing you know, your training's just getting thrown together day by day. You're just living day to day trying to figure out what to do with clients and stuff like that. Putting wads up, right? No good, right? Get your training templates done, or assign it to another coach and put somebody in charge. He's your fitness coordinator, and they design and implement the templates for your group classes so that you don't have to, and you can get that time back. Remember, at some point, unless you're just planning on being a one-man show and being a guru in a box by yourself and only doing a certain amount of sessions and only taking certain clients because you're going to build this giant online following, which I'm telling you, for most people, is not going to happen, right? Where you're going to be making millions of dollars online. It's hard as hell to make money online. Okay? So unless that's going to be you, and if you plan to hire people, if you plan to open up more gyms, if you plan to grow and scale your gym, you're going to have to systemize your gym. You're going to have to create operational success. You're going to have to create operational programs and procedures for everything in your gym, whether you like it or not. Okay? Anything else?
That's it. I think that was Trevor put out this fancy timer for us to keep us on track, which actually I think helped us quite a bit. We're at an hour,
about 8 minutes.
8 minutes. Our goal was 1 hour. So guys, we're going to try to do our best week to week to deliver some actionable processes. We will have some guests on the show. We want to bring you guys an impactful show that truly would have helped us and still helps us. I think for me and for you, we've talked about by teaching it, it helps empower us to know it and implement it even better in our own space. So
don't forget to go on iTunes and download The Business of Strength, Varsity House Gym. Give us a 5-star review. It really helps out and mean a ton to us. Okay? You could also check us out on YouTube at Varsity House Gym. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Varsity House Gym. And that's it for The Business of Strength. We hope you liked it, and we'll see you next month.
Catch you later.
Catch you later.
The Business of Strength, powered by Varsity House Gym. Turn your passion into your profession and learn how to run a world-class business. Be sure to visit us at www.strengthentrepreneurs.com to learn more. And as always, at varsityhousegym.com. Become unstoppable.